Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Luffy channel. Chapter 1162 is about to drop, and it's packed with some insane new developments. You gotta admit, the God Valley incident is a total pressure cooker right now. It's like a blazing furnace with a hot pan on top, and the more Oda cooks, the more burned and crispy this whole thing gets. Now that Shaki's rescue is complete, the Roger pirates are ready to throw down with absolutely anyone to get their hands on the treasure. Some of the Rock's pirates aren't just standing around either, they're not about to let such valuable prizes fall into someone else's hands. Meanwhile, the God's Knights are fuming because that loot should have been theirs from the hunting contest, so there's no way they'll let it slip away. Elsewhere, Rock's Xebec still has no clue where his wife and child are, so it's no surprise he's ready to turn the whole God Valley upside down to find them. But this isn't just a simple scramble for material goods or a beautiful woman. The real focus is the event itself, a massive political firestorm secretly engineered by Amusoma to completely wipe out the clan of Davy. So yeah, things are just going to get hotter and hotter with every chapter. And each chapter isn't just one or two scenes. We're getting hit with tons of new info, big and small. Well, Oda wants to kill us. Ho, just kidding. Alright, let's dive into our prediction video for One Piece chapter 1162. The chapter will likely kick off by continuing Yamato's pilgrimage in Wano. In the last chapter, Yamato, Kinemon, and Momonosuke were holding a prayer ceremony at a shrine, releasing lanterns bearing the names of the heroes who fought for Wano. Oda drew inspiration from Japanese culture for this event. After releasing the lanterns, everyone returns home with a sense of peace and a clear conscience, believing they've fulfilled an important duty. In some regions, people might gather for a small meal or chat, but the overall atmosphere remains solemn and respectful. Because of this, it's highly likely that in chapter 1162, Yamato will talk with the others about the past, and who knows, they might bring up their plans for the future, especially Yamato's promise to set sail. Okay, let's get to the main event, the contents of chapter 1162. The plot twists are about to get way more complex than anything we've seen in the previous chapters. The situation in God Valley is descending into utter chaos. Chapter 1161 gave us a much broader view, instead of just focusing on a few characters. The narrator revealed that everyone is chasing their own goals, and their fates have now intertwined. The island has turned into a nightmarish battlefield with no escape. We're seeing God Valley engulfed in smoke and flames, with Marines yelling at the celestial dragons to evacuate through a designated route, because the situation is spiraling out of control. So, in chapter 1162, we'll get more details on how these events unfold and just how chaotic it gets. For instance, in the last chapter, the celestial dragons only cared about their personal gain and the prizes they coveted. Meanwhile, the natives of God Valley and the poor slaves are just hoping for a chance to escape, fighting for their very lives. Their fates will become even more unpredictable under the pressure of the conquerors' hockey clashing all over the island. So what about the major players? Chapter 1162 will lead us into some seriously dramatic developments. Because the Roger pirates found and rescued Shaki, they've already achieved their main objective. At the end of the last chapter, we even saw Roger give the order to start the treasure hunt so they can get the hell out of God Valley as soon as possible. The Roger pirates are running wild in God Valley. With the rescue of the world's greatest beauty, Shaki, the pirate faction can breathe a little easier. They weren't afraid of her falling into the hands of another pirate crew. They were worried about what the world government would do to her, but now that she's safe, there's nothing left to worrying about. However, this is a pirate crew we're talking about, good or bad. Once they set foot on an island overflowing with treasure, how could they possibly pass it up? That's why in chapter 1162, we are guaranteed to see battles break out. There's no need to pick sides anymore, it's going to be an all-out brawl to claim the treasure. However, while the Roger pirates' primary goal from chapter 1161 was met, the objective of another key figure in this incident is still unfinished. Rock's Xebec's mission to save his wife and child. In chapter 1162, we're going to witness a man fight for his family, crossing a blood-soaked battlefield to snatch their lives back from the jaws of death. The journey to save Rock's Xebec's family. In previous chapters, Xebec said that as long as he could save his wife and child, He didn't care what happened to him. This shows that Xebec has put his family first. It's enough to understand how much this arrogant man, who fears neither heaven nor earth, truly loves his family. But tragically, his wife and child are the main targets of this native hunting competition. Saving them won't be easy. This is the true main event of God Valley, not Shaki's rescue. That's why Oda had Rayleigh save her in just 3 chapters of the event. Now that she's been saved, Chapter 1162 will shift the audience's entire focus to Xebec's wife and son. I think the mission to protect them will last for the rest of this flashback and can't possibly be wrapped up in a single chapter. It seems the author wants to reveal everything about Xebec's wife. So, it's likely that in the upcoming chapter, we're finally going to find out the truth about Alice, Xebec's wife. This name has different meanings depending on how it's written and the context. Alice is actually a name of Hebrew origin, coming through Greek and Latin as a variation of Elia or Elizabeth. It's often understood to mean the Lord is my salvation. In Irish, Alice can be read as Alice, meaning noble or graceful. These meanings are the closest fit for Xebec's wife, suggesting she is a noble and important character. But what's even more interesting is that in Greek mythology, the name Alice Eris means strife, discord, or chaos. In ancient Greek myths, Eris was the goddess of chaos and destruction. This fits the One Piece storyline perfectly, especially with how the God Valley incident is unfolding. From this, we can start to piece together the identity of Alice, Xebec's wife. It's highly probable that One Piece 1162 will reveal that Alice comes from a prestigious and noble background. She then fell in love with Xebec and gave birth to Blackbeard. To protect them, Xebec brought them to God Valley for safety. But life is cruel. That bastard Garling found out and stirred up conflict and chaos in the very place Xebec considered safest. It's very likely Oda took inspiration from Greek mythology for this, folks. The story is reminiscent of Helen in the Trojan, or the incident of rescuing the most beautiful woman is very similar to what's happening in the God Valley event. The Battle of God Valley reaches its climax. In contrast to Xebec's urgency, Goldie Roger and his crew are pretty chill right now. They've rescued Shaki, and now they're just casually looking for treasure. We know the Roger pirates are the most perfect pirate crew of this era, not because they have the world's strongest members, but because of their mindset. They fight with a spirit of unity for a common goal. In chapter 1160, we saw them beat the hell out of their captain, Roger, because they were arguing over who got to save Shaki. But by chapter 1161, there was no more conflict. In fact, they even divided up tasks to get the job done faster. Roger stayed behind to fight, giving Rayleigh the chance to go rescue Shaki. Even though we had to watch that whole lovey-dovey scene afterward, they fundamentally proved to us how powerful unity can be. So, I think in chapter 1162, the Roger pirates will be relaxed and hyped, ready to start fights with the Marines, the world government, and other pirate crews with the sole goal of grabbing all the treasure and getting out of there. With a mindset ready to brawl like that, many battles will break out in a more focused way. The first and most predictable fight of chapter 1162 will be between the god's Knight Summer and a member of the Roger pirates. It's simple. This guy is currently near the area after Shaki's rescue, so a fight breaking out with him wouldn't be strange at all. Besides, taking on Summer should only require one person, since he's not that strong. But I don't think this guy is weak, either. The 2 times he got cut in half, on Elbaf and God Valley, were mainly because he was caught off guard. He's arrogant and overconfident in his immortality, so he never pays attention to the dangers around him. And for someone given a position like this by Summer, his performance has been lackluster, getting taken down in 1 or 2 hits by other characters. I find that a bit underwhelming initially. We all guessed that Gaban would take Summer out right there on God Valley, so when he meets Gaban later on Elbaf, it's like a son meeting his father. However, Oda let Rayleigh step up first, with the Dark King handling him to elevate the epic romance between him and Shaki. However, it's possible that in chapter 1162, Summer will decide to get his revenge. And his main opponent will be Gaban. How could a guy with such a massive ego and delusions of grandeur let it slide after being so easily defeated by a pirate? Because of this, Chapter 1162 presents two scenarios for summer. 1. He just charges in to fight again, and Gaban will be there to meet him. The second scenario, he alerts his comrades. We know Summer is one of the participants in the hunting contest on God Valley. He's at the center of the tournament, so it wasn't until the end of chapter 1161 that he noticed the presence of other pirate crews on the island. With this discovery, he'll quickly inform the other gods' knights to come for backup. Plus, with their continuous regeneration, they can likely communicate with each other, making reinforcements easy to call, and it doesn't stop there. When Whitebeard sliced the god's knight Murphy like he was cutting his sorrows in half, the news of pirates arriving would have been transmitted to the other members. Therefore, the situation where one or two more gods' knights show up to fight the Roger pirates is highly probable. So, thanks for watching the video today, everyone. What do you think of this analysis? Don't hesitate to leave your opinions in the comments below. If you found this video interesting and helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support Luffy Nika. That's all for now, goodbye, and see you next time.